In Chapter 7, we discuss how to make a rubric for performance assessments. Stiggins defines rubrics by stating that they provide the vocabulary and illustrations needed to communicate expectations to our students regarding successful performance. Rubrics must be translated into student-friendly language and contain examples for the students. Rubrics are important because a good quality rubric is the main way we communicate our expectations to students and how we grade their work fairly. Without a rubric, students and teachers would have no guidance on wanted material and the end goal. The 3 criterion to consider for performance assessment as teachers, we need to ensure our rubrics are keeping these 3 criteria in mind: content of task, feasibility and fairness, sample size.
There are 2 different categories of rubrics. We have holistic rubrics and analytic rubrics. Holistic rubrics only have one rating scale, and they are used for evaluating simple learning targets. Analytic rubrics are multidimensional and are better suited for evaluating complex learning targets. Here is an example of a holistic rubric taken from Stiggins' book that is evaluating a summary. See how it has 4 levels of quality and then descriptions of each level. This is an example of an analytic rubric that is evaluating a general performance task. You can see that there are a lot more factors that go into this style of rubric. When judging a rubric for good quality, teachers must consider these 4 features: criteria, indicators, levels, and descriptors. Let's use this example of a performance assessment rubric to show the features of a good rubric. The first feature we look at is criteria, which are just the overarching categories of quality in the rubric. In this rubric, you can see the first 2 of the criteria are content of the task and feasibility and fairness. Within each criterion, there are subcategories called indicators. These are individually assessed for quality. The levels are points on a scale that define quality. Levels can be communicated through numbers or phrases like ready to use, proficient, or partially proficient. And finally, descriptors are sentences or phrases that give more detail to the quality of that particular level and what is expected of each indicator.
What makes a high-quality rubric? The first point is the content of the rubric. With this comes target alignment, which blends with the task to define the learning target. The content is also better when you match essential elements. This means everything of importance is included and the unimportant is left out. Secondly, we have the structure of the rubric. We must set up our rubrics so that they have the 4 essential points. First is number criteria. This matches the complexity of the learning target and uses context. Next, the independence of criteria. This means the criteria are truly different from each other. Third, grouping of descriptors provides descriptors that align only with their assigned criteria. Finally, number levels. Each level defines a separate step towards proficiency. To close, the descriptors of the rubric include kind of detail, which means description references attributes of performance without judgment, content levels, which makes sure that the content is still consistent, informative usefulness, informative context, the descriptions point out the way to better perform. Creating a rubric may seem like a complex process, but once a high-quality rubric is completed, it will last you a very long time. These are the 6 steps to help you create a solid rubric. First, you must establish your knowledge base. This means you must have an appropriate level of content. Second, you must collect samples of student work and sort them according to levels of quality. In order to have success with this step, you must access student samples. This helps show the students exactly what you are looking for as a teacher. Third, you must identify the key characteristics that differentiate levels of quality. This means making 3 piles of work: strong, medium, and weak work. Fourth, you must determine whether you will create an analytic or holistic rubric. You must use your information from step 3 to determine if there are any students that are in the weak areas. Fifth, you must define levels of quality and identify anchor papers. Having a collection of descriptors at each level will help you construct a solid rubric. And for the last step, you must practice applying the rubric and revise it as needed. Once you have your rubric, you must continue to fix it up according to your students' work. A good rubric will show your students exactly what you are looking for and how to achieve it.
Just a few closing reminders that should be kept in mind when creating a rubric for performance assessment. The rubric should be written in a language that students can understand and follows along with the lesson. Be sure to not add any new information, and lastly, make sure to review your rubric to make sure that you are grading the students' work to the best of your ability.